What's up, guys? I'm still at the office. I'm gonna leave after this, just waiting for the traffic to clear. So I wanted to do a quick sharing about something that I'm quite passionate about, actually, about credit cards. Generally, when I talk to people, and the general perception is credit cards are scary because the interest piles up, and then the bank keeps taking money from you, and you have to keep paying the bank. But have found that credit cards are actually awesome, and they're like my best friends because they make you so much money. So I wanted to share 5 ways that I use my credit cards that has been beneficial for me. So the first thing is, when you sign up for a credit card, when you go to a shopping mall on the weekends or wherever, they have like these booths for people to sign up, and they make it really easy. All you have to do is give your IC and then your thumbprint, I think, so that they can assess your EPF statement to see whether you're eligible or not. All you have to do is just go up, show up, and give your IC and sign stuff, and you can get a credit card very easily. But most importantly, from these booths and all of these promotions, they have sign up bonuses. So the first thing is sign up bonuses, because when you take on credit cards, a lot of banks, they give you a first time bonus. I've gotten a bunch of free money from just signing up for cards that I didn't really want at the moment. Like one of them, I'm not going to mention any of the cards names or anything like that, but one of the cards that I signed up, when I signed up, they give me 300 ringgit just to take on the card. So after I signed on the card and I got like 300 ringgit charged into the card that I can just spend, they offered me another 100 ringgit just for signing up a supplementary card. So I signed up Min at the time, so she got a supplementary card. Then just out of that, I got like 400 ringgit for nothing from that, right? So that was a good time to sign up for the card, and the promo changes all the time. So when you walk around and you find out, you can see they give out luggage bags. I see they give like, I don't know, teddy bears and stuff like that. And to sign up for a credit card, it doesn't cost you anything. You just need to have good credit, and you also just need to have a good income, good stable income. They just need to justify that you're going to be someone who's going to be paying back. So just for signing up, they give you money just like that. A couple of cards that I've gotten cash on the card just for getting it. The second thing that I use my cards for is discounts. I'm sure this is something that lots of you are aware. And, I don't know about you. Every time I go to a restaurant that I like or a place that I like, and I see a credit card discount there, and I'm not able to make full use of it, it annoys me. I don't know, call me cheap or whatever, but it really annoys me. It's like, oh man, I come to this place all the time and it's like 10% off. If I just had this card, I get 10% off every time, right? So that's one great thing about credit cards. Like Soul Garden right now, I think they have like a 10% off for one of the cards, right? So if you go there a lot and you're gonna spend on it, you might as well get a discount for it. And the discount sometimes is even better than being a member. Like some of them have like all these loyalty things, right? So the discounts could be like 15%, and being a member could be like 10%, stuff like that. So just by discounts, you save a lot of money from there. Some places, some cards offer like 50% off for like fine dining in hotels, like 5-star hotels. So just like that, you save a lot of money, discounts, by having this little plastic and paying with it. So that's fantastic, I think. So take a look at the places that you frequent a lot, the places that you go and eat at all the time, or you shop at all the time. See what kind of discounts that they have, and if you go there enough, it might be worth it just to take on the card. Next way that I actually make money from the cards is cashback and also bonus points. These days, I prefer to use cashback cards because I can't keep track on the points that's there, and it's hard to be loyal to one card because different cards have different benefits. So if you're not loyal to one card, you don't accumulate too many bonus points, because you might have like, I don't know, 3,000 points here, 2,000 points there, and you can't get anything other than a tumbler, right? So I don't care for tumblers. So I like cashback cards better now because a certain amount of spending, then they just give you the cash immediately. You kind of offset it with whatever balance that you have. So with cashback, there's two types. In case you guys don't know, there's two types of cards. There's one is bonus points type of card, and the other card type is cashback. So keep a lookout for that. If you're planning to use multiple cards, get the cashback cards, because you just swipe it and whatever amount of spending, then they give it back to you. And different cards have different ways to give you this cashback. Some cards are giving cashbacks for petrol, for example, and some cards give cashbacks for groceries, and some for like traveling, or when you buy a flight, or when you go shopping for clothes. So for the different things that I buy, I actually have a different card. I carry a couple of cards with me. One card that I use exclusively just for eating and dining, because it gives me like 5% rebate for eating, right? And there's a card on the weekends. They give me up to 5% on any kind of spending, and they have a cap. So each one of these cards, they have a cap of how much cashbacks that they give you. So if you spend accordingly, buying the stuff according to what the card is the best for, you're going to get lots of cashbacks from there. So that's something that I'm going to talk a little bit more later. The next good way to make money from your card is through the grace period that they give you to pay back the amount. So how the card works is, how a credit card works is, if you don't know, is when you swipe for the card, they don't bill you immediately. So let's say the billing period for the card is on the 25th. Every month is the 25th. So they cut off from there and they bill you from there. So let's say anything that you spend from the 26th of the month before, right? 26 up until the 25th of the following month, anything, they will cut off at the 25th, and they will give you the credit card bill for the month. So say that you've already spent like $3,000 from that period, right? So they will cut off at 25th, and then you have a grace period to pay back for the card. So talking about, I think it's like 20 days, if I'm not mistaken. It might differ from banks, but they give you about 20 days to pay back. So imagine if you were to buy something on the 26th. You bought something on the 26th, you don't have to pay for it up until the 25th the next month, and on top of that, another 20 days. So the amount of money, in terms of money, I say, in terms of having that liquidity and that cash flow to roll with, is valuable, because money in the bank is interest, money anywhere that you keep is interest. So the longer that you have the money that you don't have to pay for, you get interest from that, right? So that's another way that you actually benefit from the card, because you get this longer repayment. This is especially useful for business people. If you run a business and you need to take stock, you need to buy stuff, this payment period is just fantastic. Like the payment terms that they have in all those credit notes and everything, 30 days payment term and things like that, 15 days payment term, that's like nothing compared to this. So people try so hard, people negotiate for this payment term so much, but just with this piece of plastic, you're able to get that payment term naturally over a month. You get like about 40 days, sometimes like 45 days, just to repay back. So that's very good. If you know that once you have the stock and you're able to sell it back again, as a business, right? You have a stock, but you don't have money at the moment, you resell it back again. Swipe your card, you sell it, you get back the profit, and then you pay back for the card. So that's fantastic. And that flexibility and the money when you need it the most is really great. It's almost like capital if you use it responsibly, right? So the grace period. And on top of that, something that works well with the grace period is balance transfer. Typically, banks charge money for balance transfers. How balance transfer works is, say you owe a bank $6,000, right? So you've been swiping on the card and you owe the bank about $6,000. So from the $6,000 that you have to pay the month, we're talking about like once you already finish. So the 25th is cut off. You have 20 days after that, right? So after 20 days to pay, you have that $6,000 that you need to pay. What balance transfer does is, you could go to use another card from another bank to say that you want to transfer the balance of this card, which is 6,000, to there, and make an installment for 1 year, 2 years. They have up to 3 years. So it depends on different banks, they have different rates. But some banks are really good at balance transfer. One of it right now is Maybank, because occasionally they have this no interest. So they give you back no charges for doing the balance transfer if you do it for a year. So whatever charges that you pay for that year, they give it back to you. So you get a 0% interest of making it an installment for nothing, for no cost. So not only did you spend for this card up to 6,000 and you can pay for so late, you can just engage them. Please balance transfer 6,000 bucks from this amount that I owe and divide it by 12 for zero interest and no service charge. So that's the campaign that they have right now. So that's fantastic because you've just essentially extended your credit from not just over 50 days. You have just extended it to be divided by 12 at no cost whatsoever. So that's more money that you free up, and more cash flow is always good, especially if you're looking to roll it. Because when you roll the money, more money that you have access to, that means more things that you can do with it, right? So that's fantastic. And these are the ways that I use my cards. So I do use multiple cards, and some cards are just clearly better than others for certain things. I know some people have one card for petrol, maybe one provider or like one station that, or one brand that they use all the time. So they have a card for that specifically, gives like better rebates. So for you to be more disciplined and use that and follow that, you get more from it. So one card just for groceries, one card just for eating, just like what I mentioned earlier. The thing about credit cards are like not everybody can get it. And so I was kind of lucky and thankful because when you work in a bank, it's so much easier for them to approve your card. So back when I was working in a bank, I realized that that's the benefit for it. So I applied for a bunch of cards. And the other thing about cards is that people are afraid of the annual fees. Here's the thing. Lots of cards have zero annual fees. They don't charge you anything. Lots of cards like I know that CIMB, most of the cards have zero annual fee. So when you take on the card, you don't have to pay anything. Back then as well, people are afraid to take on cards because there used to be a 50 ringgit government tax, 50 ringgit government charge. Like you have to pay 50 bucks every year for having the card. But since they introduced GST, they've taken that away. So instead of charging the fees to the government, they just charge you 6% GST. But if the fees is zero, that's zero GST. So it actually has been great since GST because you don't have to pay for credit card fees at all if the card is free, right? So you apply for a free for life card and you have to pay anything. So you just keep it around. I have a couple of cards that I just keep at home that I don't use, except for very specific purchases. When I want to buy I know that this place uses a bank that I don't typically use on my daily life, but they have this kind of discount. So I just whip up my card and I make that purchase and just keep it at home because you don't want to put everything in the wallet, right? It'll be like all bulky. So it's something to keep, and that was the benefit. So if you have a good stable job, especially if you're working, it is easier to apply for cards. I didn't realize how difficult it is for some people to apply for cards until after I left the working world. Some people like who are business owners, they've been finding it. So they've been telling me they're finding it hard to apply for cards because I talk about this, I talk about the benefits. They're like, yeah, I wish. So for all of you who are working and who have like a very stable income, you have like a salary slip, you are in a good position because it's easier for you to apply for cards. So if you're afraid, apply for the cards that are free for life. And here's another tip. A lot of people don't know. Even the cards that has so-called annual fees, 300 ringgit annual fees, 200 ringgit annual fees that they have to pay, most of the time, they will waive it for you just for spending. So there's really no good reason. First of all, if you get a free for life card, then it's free. Second of all, if you get the cards that are that like with the annual fees, they just tell you like, okay, swipe 3 times. So far, I've not paid annual fees for any of my cards, and a couple of them have annual fees. I don't know if I should be saying this, but yes, I haven't paid for any of the annual fees because I just follow whatever they say, and you don't even have to do it before. Like when they bill you for it, they say, okay, 300 ringgit bill because you took the card like 30th June. So that's the time that they charge you 300 ringgit for it, right? So once they already charge you and it comes out in your statement, just give the bank a call and say, I want to waive this. So how do I waive it? So they probably tell you that, okay, please swipe 3 times and then give us a call again. Or some will say swipe 12 times throughout the year. So swiping 3 times is nothing. You go to the petrol station, you put it 1 time, even if you put $5, that's 1 swipe, right? You go to like Giant, you buy bread, that's 1 swipe, So it's very easy to get the swipes, and it's easy to meet the requirements that they have. Some of the more premium cards, they might ask you to spend like $3,000 a year or something like that. So all kinds of different rules. Take a look at that. But I haven't had much problem with it. So it's been very beneficial for me so far. So if you have a salary slip, easier for you to apply for the card, apply for the card quickly. In fact, some of the cards that I want, I regret didn't for not applying before, and I might look into it right now. Another good tip is because it's credit, like you don't know at which point of your life. Even if you're working, I know people always think about starting a business. They want to do a business eventually. They want to start this and that. Even if you have no use for this credit at the moment, even if you have no use for like, because usually they'll give you about, I think, 5 times your salary. It depends. Some cards will give you more. Some cards will give you less of the limit. But even if you have no use for this limit at the moment and you're keeping it at home, not only is it free, it doesn't cost you anything. It's just that when you need it the most, when there's an emergency, suddenly you need to swipe, suddenly you need to pay for whatever lah. You cannot travel, pay for PT-PT and benda kan, stuff like that kan. Things that you need it at the moment, you have it just like that, the excess. So that's great, just to keep as credit. That being said, I mean, the scary things that people talk about credit cards are real. You do need to be careful. So 4 things that you should keep in mind in terms of using it smartly is, first of all, very, very important rule, pay it in full. Don't ever leave any balance. Don't pay the minimum amount. Pay it in full. If you use debit cards, use your credit cards like you use your debit cards. Don't be like, oh, the minimum amount is $50 or $100, pay it and then just leave it. This is how you get in trouble. This is how people get in debt to the bank. This is how they have terrible credit. And this is how they cannot buy houses now later because they don't pay. They're bad paymasters. It's hard to get loans. This is how you dig yourself into that problem. If you're a good paymaster for your credit card, that's already something to start your credit kind of like profile with, because credit cards count as your credit profile, and you pay it well, you look like a good paymaster even when you're younger. So a couple of years later, you want to buy a house, it's much easier because you build a credit profile from there. So that's very important. Please pay your credit cards in full. If you cannot afford it, don't buy it. It's simple. Treat it just like a debit card. When you don't have money in your debit card and you swipe it, it doesn't go through, your purchase doesn't go through, so you just don't get the item. So treat it like that. If it costs like $3,000 and you don't have $3,000 to pay for it, don't take it, okay? Don't buy it. Okay, this is just like a tool. We want to use the card as a tool. We do not want to be slaves to it. So first is pay your cards in full, please. And second, keep track on your spendings and the benefits. This is not so much of your monthly balancing, whatever. This is more towards utilizing the benefits to the fullest. Because like I said just now, I have a card that is 5% rebate on the weekends. I have a card that is rebate on normal days. This is lower. So once I finish the limit, the cap that they have for the weekends, I will switch to another card, because it wouldn't be smart for me to keep using the card because the rebate cap is full. So I might use another card. I might as well use another card. And some cards have unlimited limit, but it has a lower rebate amount. So that's what I use once I finish the cap for that. So like this, for example, my dining one, the cap is up until 30 ringgit a month. The weekend ones is up until 50 ringgit a month. There's another one that's cap is also 50 ringgit a month. So once we finish that cap, finish this cap, then I have a card that gives me 0.5% for whatever amount of spending. So that's when I stop using those cards and I use this card that will give me money eventually. So keep track of the things that you spend. And, I know it's a bit annoying, but it is kind of like free money, and you can just keep track on your phone, or just do a simple kind of key in. And when you want to do a purchase like an iPad or something, buy on the weekend, that 1,000 is full for the rest of the month. Just don't touch the card anymore. You can just leave it at home. So that's the second thing. Keep track on your spendings and your benefits. And 3, plan your purchases. I think I kind of mentioned that just now. Plan your purchases on when you want to buy it. If it gives you rebates on the weekends, then, you might not have to buy that thing or the gadget on the weekday. Just buy it on the weekend, right? And this is kind of similar. Use different cards for different things. That's the 4th thing. Use different cards for what it's most beneficial for. Okay, so that you get the full benefits from there. So I hope it's been useful. And I absolutely love my card. I've never paid credit card interest. because it's just, why would you want to throw money away like that? It can be your best friend, or it can be your biggest enemy in life. So it's a tool. Always remember that these things are a tool. And when people talk, because people are afraid, I have some people telling me credit cards are bad, it's bad, don't take credit card, don't take credit card, but they don't even have one. How do they hear this? It's from people, oh, I owe this much, my friend owes this, my friend owes that. People will say because they're afraid, right? But only with knowledge and information that it empowers you to be able to do stuff. So now that you know a little bit more, you know what to look out for and to be smart about it. Don't have to be afraid of it, just have to understand it, and everything's in the terms and condition. They can't even charge you. One thing that people are always afraid of as well, you lose your card, then people swipe and then money all gone and you have to pay the bank. A lot of people don't know that if you lose your card, let's say it's stolen, or like, if it's lost or something, and someone takes your card, let's say they go to a shop and they immediately spend like $8,000 or something, you are not liable to pay $8,000. You just need to be able to find out, like, you need to go do a report. You need to have like in a reasonable amount of time. It's not like you lost it last week and then this week you want to report it. Let's say you just lost it earlier today, and then you have to go and report it in the short period of time to say, oh, I realized that I lost my card, do a police report. And the banks cannot charge you, I don't know if they've changed this, but if I'm not mistaken, the banks cannot charge you anything more than 250 ringgit. Just 250 ringgit maximum, regardless of how much amount has been spent. That's a law or rule somewhere that I read about, but I'm not going to go into much detail there. So the risk is lowered there, as opposed to carrying a bunch of cash, right? If you just have all this cash in your wallet and you lose the wallet, the cash is gone. It's just, that's it, it's done. But if you carry credit cards instead and people swipe or whatever, you just have to have done a report in a reasonable amount of time, and you limit your losses from there. You don't lose anything more. So it is actually safer to use cards. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm gonna head right home because traffic should be clear by now since it's 9 p.m. I hope that was useful for you guys. If it was, if you learned something from this, you can give me a thumbs up or something and share it with your friends if it's useful, right? Take care. If you have any questions as well, yeah, you can just write your questions down there. I'll answer it later if you have any questions. And that's about it. Thank you. Have a good night. See ya.